As AI gets more and more powerful, how do we make sure it's actually working for us and not the other way around? Well, today we're going to dig into a really fascinating new paper by Tanya Clouden and Terence Tao that puts forward a pretty radical idea. What if we put humans back at the very center of the AI universe? Let's dive in. So, to kick things off, the authors share this perfect little story from their own experience. While they were just trying to write this paper, 3 different AI agents literally just popped up, uninvited, trying to help them write. It's kind of funny, right? But it's also a moment I think we can all relate to, and it perfectly captures how these tools have just woven themselves into our daily lives, whether we ask them to or not. And that really gets to the heart of their first big idea, that we've all sort of made a Faustian bargain with AI. It's like we've eagerly accepted all these amazing gifts it offers, but maybe we didn't spend enough time reading the terms and conditions. So what exactly are we giving up in this deal? So why is everyone in such a hurry? Well, the paper argues it's a classic prisoner's dilemma. Every industry, every company is in this mad dash because they're absolutely terrified that if they don't jump on the AI train, their competitors will, and they'll be left in the dust. And that frenzy is pushing everyone to move full steam ahead, often without really stopping to think about the real costs. So let's break down what this bargain actually is. On one side, we're handing over the keys to our data, our creative processes, even the way we think and make decisions. And what are we getting in return? The promise of doing things faster, easier, more efficiently. The big question the paper poses is what we're getting back really worth what we're giving up? And this bargain gets a whole lot more complicated when you realize that today's AI is just fundamentally different from technologies of the past. For centuries, we've automated tasks. But now, for the very first time in history, we're automating thought itself. Okay, think about something like the printing press, right? It was revolutionary, for sure. But all it did was help spread ideas that humans had already come up with. The human was still the source. Modern AI, though? Well, it's a completely different animal. It's not just spreading ideas, it's actually creating them, generating art, writing code, and even dreaming up theories with very little help from us. This leads to something the paper calls a decoupling, basically a massive disconnect. So imagine you see this stunning AI-generated image of a landscape. It's beautiful, but here's the thing. There's no human memory behind it, no real place that inspired it. The final product is completely separated from the human experience that, traditionally, would have been needed to create it. And I love this next part. It's this concept called the smell test. It comes from mathematics, where experts have this gut feeling, this intuition that lets them know if a proof isn't just technically correct, but if it's actually insightful. An AI can spit out a factually correct answer, no problem, but it often lacks that deeper level of genuine understanding that can pass a human smell test. Okay, so we've been talking a bit philosophically, but what about the real-world impact? What are the actual, tangible consequences of this AI gold rush? Because the paper is very clear. There are some serious costs that we really need to start talking about. And these costs are hitting us from all sides. Economically, you've got massive disruption and growing inequality. Environmentally, the amount of energy and water needed for these data centers is just staggering. Socially, it's making the digital divide even wider. And then there's this really weird risk of an AI collapse, where AI models trained on other AI content just get more and more detached from reality until they become useless. And you know what? This anxiety, this fear, it's not new. Back in the 1800s, you had the Luddites protesting new machines that were taking their jobs. And today, you have highly skilled workers facing the exact same threat from AI. The technology is new, but that human cost of being displaced, well, those are echoes from the past we really can't afford to ignore. On top of that, let's be real. Building cutting-edge AI costs an insane amount of money. This is not some scrappy startup in a garage. We're talking about an investment on the scale of building railroads across a continent. And that creates a new class of technological elites, concentrating an incredible amount of wealth and power. A lot like the robber barons did back in the day. Okay, so that's a lot of the challenge. But the paper doesn't just leave us there. It shifts gears and starts talking about solutions, about a real constructive path forward. So how can we do this responsibly? Well, the answer starts with one simple but really powerful principle. And here's the core idea. Any future AI development has to deliver clear, measurable benefits for all of humanity, not just boosting profits for a handful of companies or investors. That right there, that should be the guiding star for every single new innovation in this space.
So how do we actually do that? The paper lays out this really practical two-step plan. First, in the short term, we should treat AI like vanilla extract. I love this metaphor. It's a small addition that enhances human work. It doesn't replace it. Then, down the line, we can use it more for red team tasks, basically letting AI attack and find flaws in human ideas rather than having it do the blue team creative work itself, at least until it's a lot more reliable.
All right, let's get to the final section, because this is where things get really mind-bending. The argument here is that AI isn't just another gadget. It's something that's forcing us to completely rethink our place in the entire cognitive universe.
To really get this, we need to go back in history to the Copernican revolution. For ages, humanity believed the Earth was the absolute center of everything. It was a privileged, special place. And then, bam! Science showed us we were just one planet, orbiting one star, in a universe of billions. Our whole perspective had to change.
And that's exactly what the paper says is happening right now, but with intelligence. For all of history, we've instinctively put human thought at the very center of the universe. We assumed it was the pinnacle. But now, we're building other kinds of intelligence, forcing us to accept that our way of thinking might just be one of many.
Now, that might sound a little scary, but it really doesn't have to be. I mean, finding out the Earth wasn't the physical center of the universe didn't make our planet any less important to us, right? And in the same way, we can accept that these other forms of intelligence exist without it diminishing our own unique human consciousness and creativity one bit.
So that leaves us with this one huge final question. If our intelligence is no longer the undisputed center of the universe, what is our role now? What is our future in a world that contains many different kinds of minds? That's a huge thing to think about, and it's a question we all need to start grappling with. Thanks for joining me.